There is a quiet truth about intelligence that many people misunderstand. In a world that constantly celebrates noise, visibility, and endless social interaction, solitude is often mistaken for loneliness. But intelligent people have always known something different. They understand that being alone is not the same as being isolated. In fact, solitude is often where clarity begins, where the mind sharpens itself, and where true understanding quietly grows. Before we go deeper into this idea, take a moment to do something small but meaningful. If you are someone who values deep thinking, self-mastery, and mental strength, write the word solitude in the comments below. This is not just a comment, it is a small declaration that you are willing to step away from noise and learn how to think for yourself. From the outside, intelligent people may appear distant or reserved. They may decline social invitations, spend long hours reading, thinking, or simply sitting with their thoughts. To someone who measures life by constant activity and social approval, this behavior can seem strange. Some may even interpret it as arrogance or coldness, but the truth is far simpler. Intelligent people protect their mental space because they understand how valuable it is. The modern world is full of distractions that constantly compete for attention. Notifications, endless conversations, social media, and the pressure to always respond immediately all pull the mind in different directions. When the mind is constantly reacting to external noise, it has very little energy left for reflection. And reflection is where intelligence deepens. Solitude allows the mind to slow down. When there are fewer voices competing for attention, your own thoughts become clearer. You begin to notice patterns in your experiences, lessons hidden in your mistakes, and ideas that might otherwise remain buried under constant stimulation. This quiet environment becomes a training ground for awareness. The Stoic philosophers understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher, wrote many of his reflections not in the middle of crowded courts or political gatherings, but during moments of quiet contemplation. His private writings, now known as meditations, were never meant to impress an audience. They were conversations with himself, moments of solitude where he examined his own thoughts and disciplined his mind. When intelligent people seek solitude, they are not escaping the world. They are preparing themselves to face it more effectively. The mind, like a muscle, needs periods of recovery to function at its highest level. Constant interaction can exhaust mental clarity. Silence restores it. Think about how many decisions in life are made impulsively, influenced by the opinions of others or by the pressure of the moment. In crowded environments, it is easy to adopt the beliefs of the group without questioning them. This phenomenon has existed for centuries. The Stoics warned against blindly following the crowd, reminding us that the majority is not always wise. Solitude creates distance from the noise of collective thinking. When you step away from the crowd, you gain the freedom to examine your beliefs honestly. You begin to ask questions that might feel uncomfortable in a group setting. Why do I believe this? Is this truly my opinion, or have I simply adopted it from others? These questions require silence to be answered. If this idea resonates with you, pause for a moment and write something simple in the comments. I think for myself. It may seem like a small action, but statements like this reinforce a mindset. They remind you that your thoughts deserve space and attention. Another reason intelligent people value solitude is because it strengthens emotional control. When you are constantly surrounded by people, emotions can spread quickly. Anxiety, anger, excitement, and fear are contagious. In large groups, it becomes easy to react impulsively rather than thoughtfully. Solitude interrupts this cycle. When you step away from emotional noise, you regain the ability to observe your own reactions. Instead of immediately responding to situations, you create a small space between stimulus and response. That space is where wisdom lives. The Stoics believed that true strength lies not in controlling external events, but in mastering one's reactions to them. This mastery requires self-observation, and self-observation is nearly impossible when the mind is constantly distracted. When you spend time alone, you begin to notice how your mind behaves. You see your habits of thought more clearly. You recognize the patterns that lead to stress, frustration, or unnecessary worry. Over time, this awareness allows you to reshape those patterns. Solitude also strengthens creativity. Many of the greatest ideas in history did not emerge from crowded rooms or loud discussions. They appeared during quiet walks, solitary reflection, or moments when the mind was allowed to wander freely. When the brain is not overwhelmed with external input, it begins connecting ideas in new ways. Thoughts that seemed unrelated suddenly form meaningful patterns. Solutions to complex problems appear unexpectedly. This creative process requires mental space. Intelligent people often protect this space deliberately. They understand that creativity cannot be forced in environments filled with constant interruptions. Silence becomes the soil in which original ideas grow. There is also another deeper reason why solitude appeals to thoughtful individuals. It allows them to develop a stronger relationship with themselves. Many people avoid being alone because it forces them to confront their own thoughts. Without distractions, unresolved emotions or uncertainties may rise to the surface, but intelligent individuals view this confrontation differently. Instead of avoiding it, they use it as an opportunity for growth. They examine their fears, question their assumptions, and gradually build a more stable sense of self. A person who can sit comfortably with their own thoughts develops a powerful form of independence. They do not rely entirely on external validation to feel secure. Their confidence comes from self-understanding rather than constant approval from others. This inner stability is what the Stoics called tranquility. It is a state where the mind remains calm regardless of external circumstances. Achieving this state requires discipline and reflection, both of which flourish in solitude. However, it is important to understand that intelligent people do not reject relationships or meaningful connections. Solitude is not about isolating oneself permanently from the world. It is about balance. Just as the body requires both activity and rest, the mind requires both social interaction and quiet reflection. The difference lies in intention. Instead of seeking constant distraction through endless interaction, intelligent people choose their social engagements carefully. They value conversations that challenge their thinking and relationships that encourage growth. But they also recognize the necessity of stepping back when the mind needs silence. In today's world, where attention is constantly pulled in multiple directions, learning to appreciate solitude may be more valuable than ever. The ability to disconnect from noise and reconnect with your own thoughts is becoming increasingly rare, yet it is precisely this ability that strengthens mental clarity. Consider how often people reach for their phones during moments of quiet. Waiting in line, sitting alone at a table, or walking down the street without immediate stimulation can feel uncomfortable. The instinct is to fill every empty moment with information or entertainment. But those empty moments are not meaningless. They are opportunities for reflection. They allow the mind to process experiences, organize thoughts, and restore focus. When intelligent people choose solitude, they are reclaiming these moments intentionally. They are choosing depth over distraction. They understand that a mind constantly fed with noise rarely has the opportunity to develop wisdom. If you have ever noticed that your thoughts become clearer during a quiet walk or while sitting alone without distractions, you have already experienced the power of solitude. These moments may seem small, but they accumulate over time, gradually shaping the way you think and perceive the world. Now, take another moment to engage with this idea. If you believe that learning to enjoy solitude can strengthen the mind, write "strong mind" in the comments below. This simple phrase represents the commitment to train your mind rather than allowing the world to constantly control your attention. As you practice spending time alone with your thoughts, something interesting begins to happen. You start noticing that many worries lose their power when examined calmly. Problems that once seemed overwhelming become manageable when approached with patience and clarity. Solitude teaches patience because it removes the constant pressure for immediate answers. Instead of reacting impulsively, you begin to think more deliberately. Decisions become more thoughtful, reactions become calmer. Over time, this calm thinking creates a quiet confidence. You no longer feel the need to prove yourself through constant conversation or visible activity. Your strength becomes internal rather than performative. This is why many wise individuals throughout history have embraced solitude. They understood that the loudest voices are not always the wisest ones. True insight often grows in silence, but perhaps the most important lesson solitude teaches is self-trust. When you spend time reflecting on your experiences, analyzing your thoughts, and observing your reactions, you gradually learn to rely on your own judgment. External opinions still have value, but they no longer control your decisions completely. Self-trust creates resilience. When challenges appear, you are not easily shaken because you have developed a stable inner foundation. This foundation was built quietly during moments when you chose reflection over distraction. As we come to the end of this reflection, remember that solitude is not something to fear. It is a tool. It is a space where the mind can strengthen itself, where ideas can grow, and where emotional balance can develop. If this message has given you something to think about, take one final moment to engage with it. Write "discipline of the mind" in the comments. This phrase represents the quiet commitment to developing inner strength through reflection and awareness. And if you want to continue learning about Stoic philosophy, mental discipline, and the timeless ideas that help build a calm and powerful mind, consider subscribing to this channel. Each video is designed to help you step away from noise, strengthen your thinking, and develop the kind of resilience that allows you to face life with clarity and confidence. Because in a world that constantly demands your attention, the ability to step back, think deeply, and master your own mind may be the most powerful skill of all.